Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 10 comic books of the week. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 10 comic books of the week for February 26th, 2020. So out of all the fantabulous comic books that came out today, these are the 10 that I think are absolutely the best. The creme de la creme, if you will. If you love reading comic books, these are the ones I think you really need to be getting into. At number 10, we've got Black Stars Above, number 4, from Vault Comics, written by Lonnie Nadler, illustrated by Jenna Cha, colored by Brad Simpson, lettered by Hassan Otsman-El-Howe. Black Stars Above is a super deep dive into cosmological horror, a la something like H.P. Lovecraft. If you're a Lovecraft fan, you definitely should check out this book. If you're a fan of horror in comic books, and I've said before, we're in a new golden age of horror in comic books, definitely check out Black Stars Above. In issue number 4, it really starts hitting a height. It really starts hitting this fever pitch that I've been waiting for this entire series. This book is great. It's mostly really leaning on the strength of the narration of the book. And in this one, it really hits a point of no return, a point of fantastic awesomeness, especially if you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. This story is basically about a young woman who feels trapped. She lives, I think they're up in Canada, they're fur trappers, and things aren't going well. There's a harsh winter coming out, so she finds her chance to escape from her home, and that chance is that some random weird stranger gives her this package and says, you need to take this to the town beyond the frozen woods, basically, right? And so she's taking this package, there's this weird creature inside of it, and everything starts slowly leading her more and more into the depths of insanity. That is something that H.P. Lovecraft did so well in his work. He may not have been the best writer, but he was very imaginative, right? And he was scared of almost everything. That feel, that sense of dread, of utter terror is really, really brought across in Black Stars Above. You cannot convince me that Jenna Cha has never worked on a comic book before, because the artwork is so veteran-like and amazing. Brad Simpson's colors, they add to that atmosphere. Hassan Otsman-El-Howe, one of the best colorists, one of the best letterers, I should say, in the business. Fantastic work. I really liked it, and I thought this was the best issue of the series yet. At number 9, cult classic Creature Feature number 5 from Vault Comics, written by Elliot Rahal with illustrations by John Bevins, colored by Jerry and Monahan, lettered by Taylor Esposito. Cult classic Creature Feature number 5 is the final issue of the series, and it goes out with a bang. They completely nailed this ending. I absolutely love it. They stuck that ending, stuck that landing, I guess we should say. I really did like it. This book has been a big tribute to all of our favorite B sci-fi horror movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s or whatnot. This book has been fantastic. John Bivens' artwork is absolutely grotesque. It's in your face, and it does exactly what it needs to do. The coloring's amazing, the lettering is amazing. Taylor Esposito is yet another one of those fantastic letterers in the business. Elliot Rahal, what he's done with the cult classic line of books, and this is the second. The first was Return to Whisper. The second here is Creature Feature. They're all self-contained stories. They take place in one small town, a fictional town. But Creature Feature's been amazing. You got aliens from space, you got brain slugs, you got skeletons jumping out of their bodies. The book is awesome. It's direct, it's violent, it's subtle, it holds no punches back. In story, for instance, when I was studying story, one of the things they said, that there are unwritten rules. You can't kill pets, you can't kill kids, you can't do certain things. Well, cult classic Creature Feature breaks all these rules, and they do it exceptionally well. Elliot Rahal, I want to see more from cult classic, so I really hope that Adrian and Damien allow you to do so. This book was amazing, a great creative team. It was so much fun. If you love those cheesy sci-fi horror films that have a lot of punch to them, you'll definitely love this book. At number 8, we've got Fantastic Four, Grimm Noir, written by Jerry Duggan with artwork by Ron Garney, coloring by Matt Milla. Fantastic Four Grimm Noir is a one-shot set in the current Marvel universe. So I thought initially that this was going to be set in that Noir universe that Spider-Man Noir and others are from. That's not the case whatsoever. This is actually very much set in the current 616 Marvel Universe, and it's a fantastic book. Jerry Duggan, is it Jerry or Gary? Or is it Gaggy? It's Jerry or Gary? I think it's Jerry. Anyway, he's been doing such a fantastic job on these one-shots that he's been working on. This is a very thing-centric book. There's a mystery going on. He's out trying to solve it, so it's very 50s crime noir, film noirish type stuff, detective story. Really great work. Ron Garney's artwork is absolutely fantastic. I want to see Ron Garney do some actual Fantastic Four work. This stuff was amazing. I really liked it. If you like that noirish feel, I think you'll be into it. If you've been digging Fantastic Four, you'll definitely love this. I think this has been better than most recent issues of the Fantastic Four. This has been great, and it kind of gives Duggan a good reason why maybe he should write a Fantastic Four book outside of Dan Slott. But I'll tell you what, Chip Zdarsky is still my #1 pick for that, but this book was absolutely fantastic. At number 7, we have X-Men #7 from Marvel Comics, written by Jonathan Hickman, with artwork by Leinil Francis Yu, coloring by Sonny Gao, lettering by Clayton Cowles, and design work by Tom Mueller. You can't forget the design work. This has been one of the best issues of X-Men yet. Hickman's really been doing so he came out with Hoxpox, House of X, Powers of 10, and just completely game-changed the X-Men overnight, basically, right? And now what he's doing is he's really laying seeds out there. Things that are going to blossom to become a very big deal for the future of the X-Men books. That's what he's doing. That's what he continues to do. In issue #7, he actually hits a great dilemma. We now have the resurrection protocols. People, mutants, I should say, mutants can actually be resurrected and come back from the dead. But what about all the mutants that died before all this stuff? What about the Genosians? What about the people that were dispowered from Scarlet Witch's spell? What about them? These are the questions that start getting answered and asked in this issue of X-Men. A fantastic issue that has a great conversation between Kurt and Scott. That's Nightcrawler and Cyclops. Fantastic book. I really love Leinil Francis Yu's work on X-Men. I think it's filled with depth, with richness. This is something that I find missing in a lot of his work over the last few years, and I feel like he's, just like the X-Men books themselves and the fans of X-Men books, I feel like Yu has kind of been reinvigorated by this book. Fantastic stuff. I love it. Great ideas and some of the most badass apocalypse scenes we've had yet in the Hickman era of X-Men. Made the top 10. At number 6, we have Heathen, #9, from Natasha Alterici, Ashley Woods, and Morgan Martinez. Heathen was one of Vault's very first books, one of their first hits, something that really started giving them some traction into the industry. Heathen is a fantastic book. I have recently gotten caught up on this book, so now I can flow right on through. 2 trade paperbacks that come out before this. This starts the 3rd arc, and it starts it magnificently well. Seriously, this book is amazing. Alterici, she does an absolutely fantastic job with these characters, with this story, with taking the mythology. It's a Viking tale. It's a lesbian Viking tale, is kind of what it's kind of solicited as, right? So basically, the premise of this book is that there's this one Viking woman who is a lesbian, right? And this is new to her, it's new to the tribe, it's new to everybody, so she's kind of outcast, ostracized, if you will, from the group, right? So now she's off trying to find her own way. And the way she's trying to find her own way is she's going up against Odin. She's going up against the patriarchy, and it's working so well. This book is amazing. The artwork is usually Natasha Alterici, and I'm probably saying that wrong. But however, she's joined by Ashley Woods in this one. The book started running a little bit late, and so they brought in another artist to help keep the book in the flow. The art is great, it's crisp, it's clear. The coloring is still by Natasha, and it works so well. The art's not as gritty or as raw or as edgy as it was in the previous issues, but it still works and it still keeps that flow going. This is a great, fun Viking fantasy tale. If you like fantasy comic books, if you like Viking stuff, you definitely need to be checking in on this. I've been telling Brooks, because Brooks, the Shroom Master, is a huge fan of Viking fiction, and this is definitely something he needs to read, and definitely something you need to read. This book is, like I said, the start of the 3rd arc, and it does it magnificently well. It's a great start. If you haven't read it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. At number 5, we've got Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, #1, written by Jonathan Hickman, with artwork by Russell Dodderman, coloring by Matthew Wilson, lettering by Clayton Cowles, design work by Tom Mueller. So this is the first in a series of giant-sized one-shot specials that are going to kind of put the focus and the spotlight on individual characters. This one focuses in on Jean Grey and Emma Frost. And it has a little bit of revelations through a great scene with Cyclops and Wolverine about their overall arcing relationship that's going on right now. But what this really is a nice tribute and nod to a Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely issue of New X-Men. I believe it was 121. It was the Nuff Said issue. It was a whole month where Marvel just didn't really have words in their comic books. They were trying to celebrate the beauty of visual storytelling, and that's what this book is to a T. Russell Dodderman's artwork is intricate, it's simple, yet it's also complex. It's simple in its complexity, one could say. You add in Wilson's coloring over Dodderman's pencils, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. The design work by Mueller, just fantastic throughout all these X-Men books. Clayton Cowles, a great letterer. This book is amazing. And Hickman may have pulled a whole lot from that issue of Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's, but he does it in such a way that doesn't feel like a ripoff, doesn't feel like a swipe, feels like a heartfelt homage and nod to that previous work. This book was amazing. It's mostly silent. The art really carries the story forward. It's basically Jean Grey and Emma going into the body of Storm, trying to figure out what's wrong because Storm all of a sudden collapses, and it is tied into the overall arc and sets up something big to come in the pages of X-Men. At number 4, we've got Wasted Space number 14 from Vault Comics, written by Michael Morisi with artwork by Hayden Sherman, coloring by Jason Wordie, lettering by Jim Campbell. So if you know this channel, you know that I love Vault Comics. In particular, you know that I love Wasted Space. Wasted Space, to me, has been one of the most important and significant books of the last 10 years. I've absolutely loved it. I love every single issue. This issue is no exception. In number 14, at this point, you got a bunch of characters that are kind of split apart. So this is the point in the story, and this is meant to be 25 issues, I believe, as of now. But it could definitely go longer. But you got Billy, he's separated from Dust and the others, and they are each now coming to their own realizations. One of my favorite things about Wasted Space is that Mike Morisi and company are able to take all these ideas, all these philosophies, and they're able to lay them out on the table, dissect them, pull out the bits and parts, and then kind of reconstruct it and see what works. And this is a moment in Wasted Space that it's all been building up to. There's an epiphany in this issue. There's a revelation in this issue, not just to individual characters or to the overall story arc, but to the reader, to the creators. You definitely feel like Michael and Hayden and company have really hit an epiphany, as well as some of the characters and us readers. I've loved this book. It's amazing work. It's essential work. It's one of the most important comic books of the modern age. I highly recommend it. I really, really mean that. This book is amazing. It's just filled with nuance, depth, texture. The artwork is amazing. I think Hayden Sherman's probably one of the best living artists going on right now in comic books. You add in Jason Wordie's textured, gritty coloring, Jim Campbell's lettering. This book is fantastic, and Vault is unstoppable right now, especially as long as they got Wasted Space as one of their flagships. At number 3, we've got Olympia number 4 from Image Comics, written by Kurt Antony Pyers with artwork by Alex Diotto, coloring by D. Cunneth, lettering by Micah Myers. This is the penultimate issue of Olympia. This book is amazing. It's fantastic. It's definitely made its case for one of the best books of 2020 already. Issue number 3 was the best book I have read this year so far. Issue number 4 keeps that momentum going, keeps it steady. It's great. The basic idea of this book is that there's a kid, he's a little bit lonely, he loves comic books, and his favorite comic book character all of a sudden appears in his own world. Think of something like Last Action Hero, or that Masters of the Universe film from the 80s. This book is fantastic. It's a big love letter to Kirby and other creators from the Silver Age, even from the Golden Age. This book is filled with power, energy, tragedy, nuance, and depth and meaning. This book is amazing. It's definitely Kurt Pyers' best work that I've ever read. Alex Diotto's artwork does a great job of being realistic and grounded at the same time in certain scenes, being such a flamboyant tribute to Jack Kirby. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. Things are really heating up. This book is setting up not just payoffs from some of the emotional stuff from the previous issue, but setting up that big final explosive finale, and I cannot wait for it. This book is amazing. If you've not been reading Olympia and you call yourself a comic book superhero fan, shame. At number 2, we've got Finger Guns number 1, Written by Justin Richards and Sabs Cooper, with artwork by Val Halverson, coloring by Rebecca Nalty, lettering by Taylor Esposito. So I've talked about this book already a few times. I talk about it on the weekly comic book review. I did an advanced review for it. And once again, I just want to say this is one of the best debuts of a comic book I've read in a long time. Justin Richards acts as if he's a veteran in this industry. Most first-time writers, and I believe that this is his first published work. I may be wrong on that. Maybe there's something else out there. But Justin has done the impossible. He's made his first work, or his first known work at least to me, seem as if this cat's been writing comic books his entire life, since he was like 2 years old. This book is amazing. It's really built on the characters involved. The artwork is great, and each member of this team, they work together to really make this a fantastic book. The basic gist is there are these two young adults. They find that using finger guns, they can manipulate the emotions of people. 2 fingers, you make them mad. 1 finger, you calm them down. Seems like a simple, silly premise, but this book is built on the relationship between these 2 characters. It's built on the relationship of what's going on with their actions and their inner voice. This book is fantastic. You add in that beautiful artwork by Val Halverson with Rebecca Nalty's amazing color palette. She adds grit and texture to it as well. Taylor Esposito, just like Othman El Howe and Jim Campbell and Clayton Cowles, is literally one of the best cats as far as lettering goes in the comic book industry. Finger Guns #1 was amazing. I think this is one of the most accessible #1 issues I've ever read from Vault Comics, and I think Vault Comics does amazing work. Just look at how many Vault Comics were on this top 10 this week. They're killing it. Finger Guns, though, very accessible, very nuanced, very quick and brisk, and just a masterful work. You would think that Justin Richards and company have been making comic books for 30 years. This is not the case. However, it feels like it's the case, and that's the highest compliment I can give them. And at #1, Ice Cream Man #18 from Image Comics, written by W. Maxwell Prince, art by Martin Morazzo, colors by Chris O'Halloran, lettering by good old Neon. Ice Cream Man continues to be one of the best comic books on shelves. It's made my top 10 list over the last 2 years. Probably gonna be making it again this year. This book is fantastic. Each issue is one and done, set in its own thing. If there is an overall story, the basic premise is there's an ice cream man. He's really weird, lanky looking ice cream man. He shows up in a town. He gives you a scoop of ice cream. You eat it, and then things either go really bad, they go super tragic, or you get this like bittersweet. Each story is completely different, and sometimes it doesn't even really lean too heavy into the ice cream man idea. This is one of those issues. It's about a dude who's dying. He's losing his memory. He sees a gremlin in physical appearance kind of snatching all of his memories. The way that the story is told, the narrative flows, it's so fantastic. It's so well. As this dude's lying in his hospital bed, his kids, who are now older, are coming to visit him. He's remembering them from when they were younger, and this gremlin's showing up and he's pulling away his memories. And it's just a very nuanced, tragic, somber, and sad comic book. And that's something that Ice Cream Man does so well. This is an exploration on human suffering and the hope that we can find within that suffering. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm just saying Ice Cream Man is some kind of super sad and tragic and somber book, because it is that, but at the same time it finds the glimmer of hope, the glimmer of meaning in each and every single one of these stories. This is one of the best ones that's ever been done. It's filled with nuance, it's filled with richness, great character work, beautiful artwork. Martin Morazzo, his artwork is amazing. You add in the coloring by Chris O'Halloran, that lettering by good old Neon. This book is just an excellent example of how to create a comic book. Less is more, and I really mean that. Ice Cream Man is one of those books, and it's just top-notch, and it maintains its top-notchness in the comic book industry. So that's what I thought were my top 10 comic books of the week. Lots of other great comic books. What are you excited about? What are you reading? What are your top 10? What's your top 5? What's your top 3? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Join us over at patreon.com/PCP, where you can unlock exclusive content and early access to books early access to videos like the weekly comic book review and a downloadable audio file available hours before the video hits on YouTube. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.